The date is Friday, August the 7th, 2015. The location is the Yankee Air Museum in Belleville, Michigan, and the time is 1 p.m. Today, the person being interviewed is Charles Flaherty. Charles was born on the 16th of April, 1925, and he served in the U.S. Army Air Force during World War II. The interview will be conducted by Dan Mehall. Also present are Charles's son, Fred Flaherty, and Jerry Jessen, the videographer. This interview is being brought to you by the generosity of the Ford Motor Company and is being conducted on the behalf of the Oral History Project at the Yankee Air Museum in Belleville, Michigan. Now, Charles, you are related to Henry Ford.
Yes.
So you are, in fact, a third cousin to Henry II, Benson, Josephine, and William Clay Ford. Okay. And your grandfather managed a foundry in Detroit that at one time Henry Ford worked at?
Yes. That's his first job in Detroit.
How old was he then?
16, I think.
Okay. And then later, Henry actually wrote a letter of recommendation for your father?
Yes. He had health problems.
And he had to move out of town? Is that what happened? Or?
Well, he moved out west for his health.
Okay. So, but he had actually worked for Ford Motor Company?
Yes.
Okay. Where did he work there? Was that at the Rouge plant or?
Yeah, he worked at the Rouge plant. He worked at the Highland Park plant. And I think he worked at, what the heck they call it, the museum there.
Okay. Oh, Henry Ford Museum?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Charles, where were you born?
Detroit, Michigan.
And what were your parents' names?
Maybelle Moran Flaherty is my mother, and Fred Flaherty is my dad.
Okay. Did you grow up in Detroit?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And were your parents born in this country?
Yes, they were.
Okay. And did you have any brothers or sisters?
I had a brother that died before I was born, but I had two sisters, and they were 4 and 8 years younger than me.
What were their names?
Kathleen is the youngest, and Maybelle was the oldest sister.
Named after your mother, I take it.
Yeah.
Did your mother work outside the home?
Just during the war.
Okay. Now, did you attend Detroit schools then?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember what schools you attended, the elementary, intermediate, and high schools?
Hutchison, grade school, and then Foch, intermediate, and then Cass Tech for high school.
Okay. Do you have any special memories about growing up, things that you enjoyed doing, or?
Oh yeah, I liked going over the Detroit City Airport and looking at all the airplanes and things there. At that time, you could walk through with no interference at all.
What kind of planes did you see over at City Airport?
What?
What type of planes, kind of planes?
Well, the Ford Trimotors used to fly over the top, and there was a dirigible that flew over our house one time.
Wow. Was that a U.S. dirigible, or was that a German?
I think it was German.
Okay. And did you see any other kind of military planes there?
Yeah, in the early 30s, there was the fighter planes from Selfridge Air Force used to fly within view every once in a while. Yeah.
So you lived over on the east side then?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
On Garland Avenue.
Okay.
Near Shoemaker.
Okay. And when did you complete your high school equivalency?
After the war.
Okay. So that would have been in like 1945?
Yeah.
So did you, were you drafted then?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Drafted out of high school.
Do you remember the date, or the day, roughly? Is it like July of 43?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you do before you were inducted? Did you have a job or?
Well, I had a paper route, and when I turned 18, I got rid of the paper route because I knew I was going to be drafted.
Okay.
And I set pins for 1 day a week.
Oh, in a bowling alley?
Yeah. That's when you had to do it by hand.
Yeah. How much? Do you remember how much you made doing that?
No, I remember on the newspapers, it was, you made the daily paper was 3 cents, and I got a penny for delivering it. That included for the customer the 3 cents. And then if you took the Sunday paper, that was extra, and the bill for the week was 25 cents.
Well, that was back in those days. That was a good piece of money, wasn't it? 25 cents.
Yeah, you could get a double dip ice cream cone for 3 cents.
So when you were inducted, where did you go for the induction?
In Michigan here,
Fort-
and then then they sent me down to basic training, which was in Mississippi.
Okay. So you were inducted at what, Fort Custer in Michigan then? Is that where you
Yeah.
went? Okay. So in Mississippi, that was basic training, and then do you remember where you went after basic training?
Yeah, I went to Denver, Colorado for armament school.
What did that consist of?
Well, it taught all about the guns and even about the camera that they carried in the plane and the bombs and all about how the fuses worked and all that.
When you say camera, was that the gun camera?
No, they carried a camera in the radio room on the floor, and it automatically took pictures on film this wide.
Okay.
I got some pictures of the pictures that the camera took, but
So you were in Denver towards the end of 1943 then? Is that?
yeah.
And then where did you go after Denver?
They sent me to gunnery school in Las Vegas,
Okay.
which was a little town then.
When gunnery school, were you shooting at? Can you describe the training that you went through? Were you shooting at moving targets or?
Yes, one of them was in the back of a pickup truck, and they ride around a course at 35 miles an hour, and they had all these here clay pigeons they would throw up, and you'd shoot them as you're going around 35 miles an hour.
It's like shooting skeet off the back of a truck.
Yeah, but that makes a lot of difference because you're moving.
Yeah. So the idea was to train you to lead the target. And
Yeah. They also had, like train tracks, they'd have targets that they'd run along, and you'd be on stationary and shoot it down.
Were you shooting 50 calibers then?
Yes.
Okay. So after gunnery school, where did you go?
I went to Florida, Tampa, and the stadium there, we slept under the bleachers.
Is that where you got assigned to a crew then? Was in
Yes,
Florida?
yes.
Okay. So in Florida, you were training with the crew to fly as a unit then? Is that correct?
Yeah, we'd go and they'd go down the shoreline, and they had stones simulating an airplane, and you'd fly by and you'd shoot at them. Yeah.
How long were you in Florida? Do you remember roughly?
No, it's just long enough for the training.
Okay. In all the training that you did, what were the conditions like? The room and the food. Did you think they were okay, or?
Yeah, I'm not choosy about my food.
So after you were done training in Florida, where did you go next?
Well, we had the crew there, and they sent us to Savannah, Georgia, and we picked up a brand new airplane,
What type of plane?
B-17.
Okay.
And they'd had a storm there, and all the tricycle landing gear airplanes, the wind whipped them around and they banged into the one next to them and that. So there's a lot of damage to the B-25s, but the 17s, they held up pretty good in the storm.
Okay.
And then we took that airplane and flew to Bangor, Maine. And when we got there, the batteries had boiled over, and the acid from the batteries they had to clean up.
Okay.
So we spent a week there.
Was that a problem because the generator was overcharging, or is that?
Yes, and it boiled the batteries.
So how long did that take to clean up?
A week.
Okay. And from Bangor, where did you go next? You went overseas?
Yeah, we flew an airplane over, and we went to Goose Bay, Labrador,
Okay.
and that runway, the trees were trimmed up. So it was really crude. But the next airport was worse, and that was at Iceland.
Okay.
And they had a nice paved runway, but on the side of it there was rocks as big as this room. So if you went off the runway, you're done.
So that's a pretty good flight from Goose Bay over to Iceland, isn't it? It's a long-
Yeah, and when we were flying there at night, and they got the navigation lights on the airplane, but when you're in the plane, you can't see them.
Right.
But when you go through a cloud, it lights up on the clouds. And when the first time it did that, it scared the heck out of me.
So you didn't have, on the flight over, you didn't really have a whole lot to do, right?
No, but they put mail in boxes in the Bombay, so we flew over the mail also.
Okay. And then after Iceland, where did you go?
Valley, Wales. And there they take our brand new airplane away from us.
So how long was the total flight from like Goose Bay to England to Wales? How long did it take to fly, roughly? Do you remember it?
Well, each one of them trips is a day.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus the week, and it was much faster coming home by boat.
So from Wales you went to Italy, or?
No, they sent us, I forget the name of the town, but it was outside of London. And there's where they put the crews together for the 8th Air Force. And, but I never put us in the 8th Air Force because they had trouble in Italy. The 816th Squadron